So today I'm going to be showing you guys what we do on the farms to extend the season, which is actually the same method that we use to actually jumpstart the season. And what I'm talking about is using high tunnels, and actually I'm going to show you a greenhouse as well, so that way you can kind of get the idea of the whole entire picture. Okay, so what I have behind me is a high tunnel, and we're going to go ahead and take a closer look and see what we got growing in there. All right, let's check it out. So in this particular section, we're actually growing tomatoes, and as you can see here, we got a number of tomatoes that we got growing in here, and we also have more tomatoes growing in the low tunnel. Now this is the high tunnel. Obviously it's quite roomy in here. Basically it's a steel frame supported into the ground, and we have plastic over top of it. And what we decided to do, now that we are into the month of October, we have actually decided to extend the season and grow more tomatoes. And these have been in here for quite some time now, which were started in the greenhouse, and then eventually, once the time came and they're big enough, that we went ahead and transplanted them here in the high tunnel. They got lots of flowers. And we're way into the month of October, and these will probably be ready to pick probably in the next couple of weeks. We got new flowers growing, and man, these are absolutely beautiful. And the other thing that we're growing here is lettuces. A wonderful variety of different types of lettuces that we grow. And they're great for your salads, your shakes, whatever you want to do with them. Just going to kind of give you guys a little quick tour of this area. We have some fennel on the end, and then we have some kale growing over here, and we got new baby kale that we just planted the other day. It's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can give you guys a little close-up. So that's what we got going in here right now, and for those of you that are just kind of wondering, like, you know, what a high tunnel does, how does it play into growing your own food, let me kind of just break a little bit down of it, you know, to you, so you can kind of understand a little bit how it works. So as most of you guys probably already know, when you're trying to grow things like tomatoes, you only have a certain period of time to grow it, okay? Because tomatoes don't like to grow in the cold. They like it nice and hot. They like 80-degree plus weather. And once the fall comes around, you know, tomato season is pretty much over. And that's the purpose why we use the high tunnels, because the high tunnels will create an environment that will keep it warm, it will keep it insulated from the outside, and you can extend the season by pre-planting ahead of time. Like, okay, so let's say you want the tomato season to go a little bit further. Let's say you want to have tomatoes in the month of October or November, okay? Well, then what you have to do is go according to, you know, the seed that you have, and plant it according to when it's going to mature. You start it in the greenhouse. If you have something like that, you can actually grow them indoors. Starting them indoors, and you can create a little makeshift little plastic area, so that way they can be covered and keep warm inside there if you don't have a greenhouse. And now a greenhouse is a whole another spectrum of things, because when you're talking about growing in mass quantity, you're going to need I need a lot more space than just, you know, a little, you know, table that you're growing some starters in. So let me show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. All right, so what we're looking at here is one of our greenhouses, and we actually have two of them, because one of them are dedicated to growing perennials, scented plants, herbs, you know, all types of things like that. And this one is the one we use specifically for growing our vegetables. We do have some other things in there right now that I think we have some lavender in there. In case you're wondering what this is, these were leftover sweet potatoes that we just didn't have the room for, and so we just left them there. We're going to eventually use those for our starters probably next season. And let me give you guys a little close-up if we can. Yeah, sweet potatoes, and these are nice because, you know, you put them in a planter like this, and they start growing, these little guys, and then eventually you can break those off and transplant them into a little pot with some potting soil. Maybe throw a little bit of organic nutrients in there, fertilizers, and then they'll start growing even further, and then again you can eventually transplant them into the ground. But let me show you what we use to actually heat this thing, which is propane. That's our propane tank right there that we get filled up every couple of months. And let's take a walk inside. See what we got growing on in here. So over here we got more greens. We got kale, we got spinach, lettuces, lots of basil. And these are basils that we just, you know, sell directly at the market. Or we pick them, we have some in the fields that we pick for the markets and the restaurants. Over here we have more lettuces. Look at these little beautiful. That's Roxy lettuce right there. Yeah. Because Roxy's a foxy. Let me show you guys what else we got. Over here we have kale. More lettuces. And like I said back there, we had the extra space, so we just threw some lavender back there. So all this stuff is controlled with a thermostat. You got fans in the back. It's timed according to the heat in here, so the vent in the back opens up. It sucks the hot air out if it gets too hot in here, okay? Especially in the summertime when it's already 90 degrees outside, we try not to use it. We don't use any of the heat, obviously, but you still have to ventilate this area, because if it's 90 degrees outside, trust me, it's gonna be 100 plus in here, and that's gonna be too hot. So open up the doors, open up the vents, fan everything out of here so it'll, you know, keep the air at least somewhat cool. But after a certain point in time, everything should be out of here anyway. So once the tomatoes or the lettuce is big enough, then you transplant them into the high tunnel. And there, now like I said, you don't have to do the lettuces and the spinaches in the high tunnel. But the good thing about that is that it's a controlled environment when it becomes too rainy out. And the reason why I say that is because we've been getting a lot of rain here on the farm, and it has damaged a lot of the crop out here. So we've lost a lot of tomatoes because of it. Tomatoes do not like sitting in water. They will go bad, they will start cracking. And we have enough problems to deal with out here with the stink bugs and the potato bugs. And you know, it's just one thing after the other when you're talking about battling you know, the insects out here that will make your life a living hell if you don't stay on top of it. Okay, now as far as the stink bugs, that's going to have to be a whole nother topic for a different day, because I'm going to have to tell you guys exactly what we do to try to control it. Okay, control the damage. Okay, but let's go back into the high tunnel and take a closer look at some of the stuff we got. So what we're looking at here is a raised bed that we actually built inside the high tunnel, and in this particular section we're growing some mixed lettuces that we're harvesting. Actually, we just harvested recently for a restaurant. Okay, and if you're trying to grow your own lettuce, try to always remember like how much you're going to be using on a weekly basis. Let's say you go through a pound of lettuce. Okay, you want to make sure, this is the area that we harvested, okay, just the other day, and over here this is ready to be harvested. Okay, so by the time we come back and pick this will be growing and ready to harvest again. So you kind of have to go back and forth. So if you're thinking about doing this at home, always try to keep in mind how much you're using and how much you need to have space for, so that you can continuously harvest every week. Okay, and the other thing you need to keep in mind is after about 3 pickings, then you need to redo the whole thing again. So when it comes to things like lettuce, you want to be careful like how many times you harvest it, depending on the particular kind, because after, like, I would say the 3rd harvest, then it's not going to have that same taste anymore. It might be more on the bitter side. Now, if you don't care, it really doesn't matter, but just something to keep in mind, so that once you've reached that 3rd picking, just keep in the back of your mind, okay, I'm going to have to redo the soil again and replant, and in that case you have to just kind of be prepared. So this is what I'm talking about. So this is an area that we have here that's all set up, ready to be replanted, because we know that once we've gotten I think we have a couple more harvests on this guy, and then we have to move on over here. And then of course once that's done, you want to rotate the crop and plant something else. For example, tomatoes. Alright you guys, I'm running out of time here, so I'll see y'all next time. This is Badass Farmer, and I'm out.